Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Memes of the Week. The best thing you can do for this channel is smash the like button on this video like it's a pre-transition Ellen page, so it reaches a wider audience. And now on with the memes. Number one, here's a quote that's been falsely attributed to Mark Twain. That most men die at 27, but we just bury them at 72. Whoever came up with this should definitely take credit for it. I've known many men who just sit and watch television for decades wasting away their lives. I've lived an equivalent of 3 to 4 different lives compared to such men. They refuse to leave their comfort zone and take even the smallest risk. Playing it safe never gets you anywhere good. Up next, this guy says that the men who ask or fight for men's rights need to ask the question, when was the last time they were scared to walk home alone? This guy's clearly a simp, because the majority of violence late night is male-on-male violence. And he's just saying this to get women's sympathy so they might feel sympathy for him and help him get laid. It's white knighting at its finest. I've been chased by potential muggers 1 block west of Times Square at night a handful of years ago. Number 3 looks like Gen Z is going to become the most single and unmarried generation in modern history. If you think that's something, then just wait until Gen Alpha and Beta get to their prime baby-making age. The fertility rates will fall off a cliff as gooning takes off. The rate will average below 1 kid per woman. This is just our human version of the Mouse Utopia experiment reaching its climax. Our only hope is technological reproduction and robo-nannies at this point. Moving on, this teacher sent text messages to 3 students, and there was even an alleged shower photo. Just looking at her, I think that all 3 of them ratted her out to the authorities because they had to use bleach on their eyes after seeing her squishy bits in the photos. Then again, maybe I'm wrong, and this is actually what the shower photo looked like. Yeah, I don't think so. Oftentimes we say guys are lucky to be with their teachers. In this case, these guys were unlucky. Number 5, this poster is being put up all over London trying to convert people to Islam by promising them full-breasted maidens in paradise and a full cup of wine. Islam doesn't even believe in drinking alcohol, yet in their heaven, you're allowed to drink. Plus, they believe in the sanctity of marriage, but in the afterlife, you can smash as many women as you want. It's a religion of peace, but it's also heavily obsessed with sex for some reason. Up next, this kind of stuff seems to happen in Florida quite often. This guy raped a woman hurt in a car crash instead of taking her to the hospital in Fort Lauderdale. The look on that mugshot says it all. He's probably hoping that they let him go with a slap on the wrist. But it's Florida after all, and if they're ending child molesters, you just know that they'll go down hard on him the way he went down hard on that wayman. Number 7, is it true that Canada is in the middle of a socialist takeover and heading towards communism? More like wokeism and equity. It's just communism relabeled. They're going to increase taxes on the wealthy and give handouts to migrants and the poor. It's gone so bad that the average Canadian makes less money than the average refugee these days. The government is paying them 80 grand a year and giving them free accommodations in hotels. It's absolutely out of control. Moving on, nurses and teachers are in a panic over an OnlyFans leak to over 340 million users. Someone needs to create a database matching their real names to their pictures so people can access their profiles easily. Who would have thought that you'd ever have to take accountability for being an online whore? Why is it always the teachers and the nurses that are into this sort of debauchery? Number 9, I've got an interesting resume. Being a webmaster, YouTuber, Bitcoiner, photographer, and precog, but there's no way I can compete with Alan Moore, the creator of 2 of my favorite comics, turned films in the 20th century. V for Vendetta and The Watchmen. But the part about him being a mall Santa and Rasputin impersonator always gets to me. Dude is a living legend that took comics from something for kids to something for adults. Up next, human zoos were popular back in the early 20th century. Should we bring them back? I don't know about you, but it actually would be a sweet deal having all my food and accommodations paid for and getting all the attention I could handle from onlookers. Technically, they still have this in America, and it's just called Detroit. We also technically have indigenous reservations, and I've seen the locals there in their natural habitats, the smoke shop, and they were selling cigarettes. Number 11, here's Afghanistan in 1973 before the Islamists and socialists joined forces to overthrow King Mohammed Zahir Shah. This was only in Kabul. Most of the country was still backwards. If you think their women are hot, just look at what happened to the most famous one who was on the cover of National Geographic back in the day. I wonder what caused that pain in her eyes. Maybe she didn't like being the 3rd of 4 wives. Moving on, Ma'am Danny is proposing a plan to shift property ownership from New York landlords to the community. I guess it's full-on confiscation of private property now in New Yorkistan. You know, it's really bad when even little Bobby De Niro hates this guy, and he's a socialist too. The exodus of the wealthy in New York is well underway. The place will turn into a hellhole, but that's okay because Mandani and his communist buddies will loot the place before it collapses. Number 13, funny how the climate change narrative vanished the moment the AI data centers needed to be created. Except, of course, in Canada because it was never about climate change, but it was always an excuse to implement carbon taxes. Actually, they're planning on building AI data centers in Canada, but they'll probably use them for surveillance instead. Also, the irony of an AI-generated image schooling me about data centers isn't lost on me. Up next, what the hell is going on in India where this woman suffocated to death after being buried in cow dung to treat a snake bite? Well, at least she didn't die from the venom. Why do they do this in India? Not even African witch doctors do crazy stuff like this. It's also not a one-off because here's a man who survived a lightning strike only to suffocate him in cow dung as well. If we didn't have the internet, we never would have learned about this insanity. Number 15, YouTube has been busy taking down AI videos totaling 2.7 billion views. This is like a fart in the wind because there's no stopping AI-generated content. Most will be slop, but some will actually be good like what we see with Chronicles of Bone. It's also crazy because YouTube took down videos it thought were artificial intelligence, but were made by real people. Maybe YouTube is killing the competition before creating its own AI slop and replacing all their creators. My money's on that bet. Moving on, this woman sat down for a podcast with the man that murdered her father. Look at the way she's grinning ear to ear. If her father's looking down on from heaven and he's not red-pilled, then God's gonna have to explain to him what hybristophilia is. I wouldn't be surprised if she started dating him and married him and he ended her as well. She would probably be less forgiving to some men who use the wrong pronouns. Number 17, a most likely Indian Walmart employee in Canada who stole $7,000 worth of stuff is only under house arrest because there's a risk he might get deported. Canada protects its criminals from the consequences of their own actions. This is in Alberta, the most conservative province. So just imagine how bad it must be in the other liberal provinces. Theft over $5,000 has a penalty of up to 10 years in prison. Unless, of course, you're an illegal. Then they just put you under house arrest. Up next, here's the look today's teens and 20-somethings get when they're told to travel as much as they can while they're still younger. Travel has always been expensive. Even when I was in my 20s and 30s and doing my traveling, I ended up writing off my trips by taking pictures from my website business or my YouTube travel videos. And yes, I made a profit with that. Back when people traveled and worked in the places they went to. My advice to young people is get creative. Number 19, check this boomer cope, where boomers are forced to live with roommates because of high rents. And they've now convinced themselves that they enjoy each other's company. Women living together at each other's throats metaphorically and not disagreeable. Why can't they get their own place? Why don't these ladies pull themselves up by their boob straps? And of course they have to find pictures of unemployed hippies for this story. Moving on, allegedly Destiny and Lauren Southern are back together again. I say allegedly because I don't want to risk Lauren threatening to sue me once more. It was originally revealed that she might have had a fling, allegedly in her memoir. She's a single mama, so he definitely could have done a lot better. She's had money problems allegedly over the years, and some people are saying that that's the reason she's involved with them as well. Who knows? Number 21, check out this next level cuckoldry. With this woman sleeping around in their one-sided open marriage, but her husband isn't allowed to sleep with anyone. Not to worry, by the looks of him, he couldn't get someone even if he tried. This is what Wyman wants. An alpha in the bed sheets and a beta in the balance sheets, financing their lives. The entitlement is out of this world, and men like this are willing to tolerate crazy levels of disrespect. Guys like this fuel women's entitlements. Up next, check out these 2 Minnesota residents arrested for stealing $21 million in a Medicaid fraud scheme. The Somalians started off with daycares and now they're graduating to this. And you just know that the woman on the left, by the look on her face, enjoyed every penny of that money. I just love how they always use terms like Minnesota residents when they're clearly from sub-Saharan Africa. And the average Somalian in many countries is a net $1 million drain to that country during their lifetimes. Number 23, which one do you prefer? I like the medium. The one on the far right looks like she's ready to dress up as a prize heifer for Halloween. If this was in the United States, extra large would be a medium because that's the average size for women there. Just looking at this, I'm wondering how women will ever be able to compete with AI girlfriends or sex robots when they can't even control how much they eat. Moving on, here's a story that'll make you think. She's a proud virgin and wants to remain one until she dies, as an example to her children. I mean, in this day and age, it's actually possible if she has her eggs extracted and fertilized by some Tyrone sperm bank donor and then inseminated into a surrogate mother. At first you laugh the way I did, but when you think about it, it is quite possible. I just don't think she can afford it or knows about the option. Remember guys, taking women seriously is the root of all suffering. Number 25 on the last one, here's the sad state of dating affairs in Canada. Catherine says she's not interested in Indian, Pakistani, and South Asian men, and let's not waste our time. I don't waste her time because Indian fatigue is real in Canada. Also, let me guess, she's only into white dudes and not interested in Asian men either. She's in Calgary and that province has been filling up with Indians rapidly in the last few years. So that's it for another Memes of the Week. Please give this video a like to push it up in the algorithm so that new viewers can find it. If you enjoy this series and want me to keep making it, then donate it to PayPal and Subscribe Star links. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.